And you're still watching Prime Morning. So this is the news flat segment, and it's probably brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise, still phone papa PFE. Whatever gadget you're looking for with the mobile phones, television sets, CCTV cameras, we say worry no more because we've got you covered. You can actually download the app on your phone to make things very simple, which is the Franco Trading app, or visit our website for further inquiries, www.francotradingenterprise.com. Franco Trading Enterprise, still phone papa PFE. Now on Sunday, the Big Chef cooking competition took place, and it was a great one. Of course, I mean, the children are just amazing. Just whenever they go to the kitchen is always sizzling. And we say that don't forget to watch a Big Chef if you want to improve upon your culinary skills, and of course to also inspire your young ones. Make sure that you stay glued to your television set and let them stay glued to your television set as well. Tune in to Joy Prime Sundays at 4 p.m. for the Big Chef cooking competition. This is a news flash segment, and it's proudly brought to you by Franco Trading Enterprise. I'm here with Honorable Timothy Awontirim, who is representing the NDC this morning. Good morning, Honorable.
Good morning, Rosalind.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Great, and thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. You are looking great.
Thank you very much.
We thank God for His mercies and for His favors this morning.
Yeah.
We say hello to our viewing public as well.
Yes, very important. And now don't forget that you are part of the conversation, so send in your messages to us and let's have a conversation, a wholesome conversation. Send it to us on 055-157-5757, 055-157-5757. Now today we will be taking a look at the minority saying that they will stage or have a boycott if the D-Levy should be implemented. They are not too happy about it, and they say this could kill the ordinary Ghanaian eventually, and so they are calling on the government to put a hold or cancel the D-Levy completely. We'll take a look at that story, and then UTAG is also threatening to go on strike because of some delays in payment. We'll take a look at that story as well. Now, it's quite interesting because yesterday, when the minority decided to do this, they went for a press conference, and one person joined them. He's going to be in the studio today to tell us more about it. Now they want to nickname him Killentia, but it's all right. Anyway, let's do the newspapers for now. So I'll start off with the News Guide Africa. Oh, that's the first time I'm having this newspaper, the News Guide newspaper. Opposition stifles as stakeholders debate the remnant of the 1 Ghana cedi fuel levy. BOG goes hard on loan defaulters, targets NPL ratios at 10% of gross loans. Non-interest Islamic banking, a feel for development, not division. TDC goes 24-hour client support services, okay, and the GRA urges citizens to take advantage of tax incentives to lessen tax burdens. That'll be it for the News Guide newspaper. The next newspaper is the Ghanaian Times newspaper. The Ghanaian Times. Hospitals grind to a halt as nurses' midwives strike escalates. Yesterday we had this conversation here on Joy Prime, and they did mention that, you know, when this was agreed on with regards to whatever they are asking for from the government, it was signed in June last year, 2024. However, due to internal, politics or internal issues, they went to court, and it was actually finalized in January. After this finalization, they were hoping that the government will implement it, but as it stands now, the government has still not implemented it. Hence, they have decided to be on strike until government decides to implement it. District Directors of Education to get more powers to improve service delivery at grassroots. This is coming from the President. GHS, CKT, UTAS, GCPS sign MOU to promote professional development. And GLISS PTA expresses concern over growing criminal activities around schools. That's it for the Ghanaian Times newspaper. The next newspaper and the final newspaper is the New Republic newspaper, the New Republic. Minister locks down Wale Binduri as guns blaze again amidst renewed conflicts. Now, we're always praying for peace for them. May God give them peace in that area. Imagine being, a young person, innocent, mother, child, and you have to find yourself in the middle of this. May God give them peace. Ex-NPA board member in OSP's trouble. McDan's 10 million Ghana cedis lawsuit against editor, a hoax. Cannibalism in NPP deepens. Party chairman flees to bush over Baumia plot. Really? Is this true? I'll have to find out. Since we are not here alone, we are here with NPP. We'll have to find out if this is true. Government launches all-out war on corruption, and that'll be all for the New Republic newspaper. Like I said earlier, you can be a part of the conversation by sending your messages to us on 055-157-5757. Don't forget that we are streaming on Facebook as well, so as you join us on Facebook, leave your comments there and we'll read it. I always say I cherish my Facebook viewers, and so go on Facebook right now, leave your comments. I'll read all your comments. You know, I sometimes even read Facebook more than I read WhatsApp messages. Now, I've been joined by my other two guests, and I said to you earlier, they want to give him a name, but we won't accept it. The name is Kilent. Yeah, but we won't accept it. Honorable Michael Adams. Yeah, good morning, Honorable.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm very good, and yourself?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm seeing a story here. It says cannibalism in NPP deepens. Is this true?
You know, some of these publishers put out anything. These things happen in any party. They strive for recognition, strive for leadership and so on. It happens all the time. So when you label it as cannibalism, it's quite outrageous. So I don't think it's as it is. As a matter of fact, we are now even starting to put structures in place in the party.
Right.
We've not even gone anywhere. So I'm surprised that a publisher will put such a thing on the front page.
Anyway, we are hoping that, as Honorable has said, it's not true. And we also have Kwame Nkrumah Bosio, who's representing the CPP. Hi, Kwame Nkrumah.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Great, and thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
How's the CPP? I always ask you this.
Everything is going so well.
Great.
Everything. There's unity, there's progress. Things are not perfect.
Okay.
Things are not perfect. As a party that hasn't been in power for so many years, the financial problems are Herculean. But we're trying to achieve as much as possible without going the corrupt way by depending on party finances and the goodwill of Nkrumahs everywhere.
Okay, that's good. And if you're Nkrumahs, you have to support the CPP, right?
Yes, exactly.
You know, I think one of the strategies the NPP brought in at a point in time, just when Kufuor took over, was to get more young people to join.
I think it's a strategy that every party uses. Even with the CPP, in their initial formation stages, that was how Kwame Nkrumah mobilized the Veranda Boys and the various groups within to join to build the CPP. So it's not really up to whether young people join or not. It's about the party setting itself up for people to believe in it and people having hope in the party that they can deliver and they can build something before people will join. So it's not really about just young people, but what the party sets itself to do. And as it stands now, I sympathize with the CPP though, but I do not foresee them building up because right now, almost all their members are disintegrated. Their members are kind of less. There are some who are kind of shifted center-right, some shifted center-left, and so on. There are few people that you get who are following the Nkrumahist ideas. The rest are either tilting towards the UP tradition or tilting towards the NDC tradition.
All right. Okay. Anyway, so our conversation for this morning, I think we should start with the minority having a press conference yesterday. And you were in the press conference, part of it as well.
Yes.
Can you please explain to us exactly what happened? Because we need to hear it from the horse's own mouth.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning to your viewers. Yesterday we met and to espouse some of the issues that were going on, especially on the D-Levy, that we felt the current administration didn't sit down well with us and the people that we represent. Most people will say the minority is a small minority, about 88. So you know what? You don't need to voice out and say all these things. But then the point is, we represent about 10 million people in this country. That 88 number represents about 10 million people in this country. And we cannot keep quiet and sit down, especially when you look at the form in which the D-Levy was presented, comparing it to other levies, other taxes that have come into the chamber in Parliament. This one, we say, was clandestinely pushed in the midst of darkness. They brought it in the evening, very late. Even before that, when you come to Parliament, our proceedings, we have the order of business that we use. And before anything appears on the order of business, it would have gone to the business committee for deliberations to be done on it before it appears on the order of business. This D-levy did not go to the business committee.
Okay.
It wasn't discussed at the business committee. And when we came to Parliament, it wasn't on the order paper.
Okay.
So if a significant levy like this that you are putting 1 cedi on Ghanaians, if you thought there was nothing wrong, why would it not appear on the order paper? Then you wait in the evening when Ghanaians were going to sleep and everything was quiet. Then you push in an addendum to the order paper, and then we see the D-levy. So there are even members of the majority side who didn't know what it was about. They didn't know what the bill was about. They were just whipped in to pass it. Okay. Later, after they were asking, what is this levy about? And we were taken aback. It came to everybody as a surprise.
Okay.
And apart from that, you look at how the E-levy came in, comparing the two. When the E-levy was coming, there was significant stakeholder engagement to the extent that they did town hall meetings, they met civil society. In Parliament, there were a lot of discussions. That was what brought the E-levy from its initial stage to the 1% that was agreed. With this D-levy, no engagement was done. It was just pushed through under a certificate of emergency.
Right.
And when you are pushing a significant tax like this, which is so high, the highest tax ever that a government has put on any of our bills since I became of age. This tax is 8% if you calculate. The 1 cedi is 8%, which is very outrageous. Mostly, taxes will come
like 1%,
to like 1%, then it builds up gradually. Maybe government changes, then they will top up a little and so on.
Yeah.
But for this one, it just came whipping like 8%.
Right.
And that 8%, when you translate it even in letters, the 1 cedi is 4.5 per gallon.
Yeah, 4 cedi.
Because it's 1 liter to 1 cedi.
Yeah.
And each gallon is 4.5. That's 4 cedi 50 pesos. So the 1 cedi is 4 cedi 50 pesos. What people are forgetting is that there is an existing 2 cedi 30 pesos on the taxes as taxes already on our fuel that we've been paying since the Fourth Republic. We've been paying this 2 cedi 30 pesos. Now you've added 1 cedi to it to make it 3 cedi 30 pesos. A gallon is 4.5. 3 cedis 30 pesos multiplied by 4.5 is giving you about 14.7, almost 15 cedis per gallon. So today we are paying 15 cedis per gallon. And the way it was hurriedly brought in to Parliament, you know, these oil marketing companies, COMAC, you see there was a reaction from COMAC. And based on that reaction, government had to pull back and change the date for implementation. It is because before any oil marketing company, OMC loads for, they have to issue a bond to GRA. And that bond covers the taxes that we pay. So after they've issued a bond to GRA, for instance, a company is buying, let's say, 1 million liters of fuel. That company would have paid a bond of 2.3 million cedis, which covers the 2 cedi 30 pesos.
Okay.
Before they come to the pump and sell to us and collect their money, most of these OMCs will take the product on credit from BDCs and pay the tax component, which is the 2 cedi 30 pesos. Now, you issue, you put in place a bill like this, a tax, and then you tell people, you tell the OMCs that start collecting it. While a lot of OMCs have not even planned for it because they now have to go and look. The person who is loading 1 million liters will now have to go and look for 1 million cedis to add to the initial 2.3 million or 2 cedi 30 pesos before he can load 1 million liters to his pumps.
All right, so
these are the things we spoke about, that there was no engagement. Comparing it to other taxes, this is on the high. Government, initially, when they were campaigning, promised Ghanaians that they were not going to add any extra taxes and that we were paying too many taxes.
Okay.
We were paying too many taxes. And then they also made us aware that some of these taxes, like the E-levy and the, how do you call it, the COVID levy, the betting tax and so on.
Tax and all
yes,
of that.
they were going to take all these taxes out.
The nuisance
Taxes. They came, they took e-levy out, took betting taxes out. And I remember clearly in Parliament when the Minister for Finance read the budget, they jubilated that these nuisance taxes, the e-levy has been taken out. And during the comments of the majority leader, when he was making comments after the budget reading, he stated that the Akufo-Addo government dipped his hands in the pocket of Ghanaians and stole 2 billion cedis from our pockets. And this is thievery. That's the word he used, that is thievery. We dip our hands in the pocket of Ghanaians to take 2 billion cedis from the pockets of Ghanaians because of the e-levy.
So to you, today, to the minority, this is also thievery.
Today, this is 5.7 billion cedis. So when they were telling us that they have put that 2 billion cedis back in our pocket.
Right.
When they put the 2 billion cedis back in our pockets and they were taking their hands out, they took 5.7 out of our pocket.
All right, on that note, let's take a look at what happened when the minority had a press conference.
The ranking member on the Energy Committee, George Kwame Abuaji, first cited the inconsistency in President Mahama and his Energy Minister, John Jinapor's communication on the real intention of the tax, accusing government of deceiving Ghanaians.
President Mahama on May 13, 2025, at African CEO Summit in Abidjan. Here's what he said, and I quote, "We are using the proceeds from the energy sector levy to pay down the arrears," unquote. Honorable John Jinapor, the energy minister, also on June 4th, 2025, this is what also he said on Joy FM, City FM, and Joy News. I quote, "This levy is not intended to pay off legacy debt. Assuming without admitting that this is for debt payment, how can you pay $3.1 billion, that is amounting to 80 billion cedis, total debt, with 9 billion cedis, which will accrue by December 2026 from this levy?"
MP for Ufuasia Yorebi and also ranking on the Committee on Economy, Kojo Nkrumah also described the levy as a midnight robbery of Ghanaians.
This Dumsor levy has no minimum threshold. The poor are actually the most affected because, unlike the rich, for the poor, every single cedi counts a lot more. And that's why we say it's midnight robbery. The e-levy, number 4, was payable only by people who opted to do money transfers. This Dumsor levy is payable by all Ghanaians, unless you decide to work every day. Because even if you're a farmer and you are buying fuel for your tractors to work on your farm, you will pay this Dumsor levy that this government has just imposed.
They offered some remedies on how government can deal with the situation.
We think that what the government should do is to conclude the renegotiations of the public of the power purchase agreements which were started by the previous administration, and to pass on 2 things, the fuel and capacity charges into the PPAs. Government should include these in the tariff calculations to eliminate the need for off-book debts that are caused by the take or pay clauses in the energy sector contracts that were signed between 2013 and 2016. Government should quicken the efforts to bring efficiency into the operations of GRIDCO and ECG to reduce transmission, distribution, and other technical losses. We're asking government to pursue the strategy that we proposed in 2024 to go heavily into renewable energy, as advertised, for example, in our manifesto, to reduce the need for fuel importation and its consequent negative impacts on the economy.
But what do they intend to do if government does not heed to their call?
We as a minority group representing over 10 million Ghanaians, and sometimes people say, oh, they are just 88. In our 88 constituencies, you will find over 10 million Ghanaians. We want to advertise that we'll be embarking on the following. Number 1, we'll continuously engage the people of Ghana, civil society groups, driver unions, and the media to showcase the true impact of this draconian and negative levy that the government is imposing on us.
As it stands, President John Mahama has already assented to the bill, awaiting full implementation by stakeholders. But the minority is clearing their resolve to get government to back down. James Abaji.
All right, we don't know if the majority will be able to get the minority to understand that the D-levy is a necessity, or the minority will still stand their ground and make sure that the D-levy is never passed. Let me come to Honourable Timothy Awontirim before I come to you, Kwame Nkrumah. Honourable,
yes.
The D-levy.
Yes.
Yes.
What is about it? You see, the D-levy is to arrest a problem. We must be serious in this part of the world to arrest problems that have become cancerous and challenging to our economy and our growth. There is an energy sector report done by the NPP when they were in power. That report indicates that the energy sector debt is growing up to $12 billion. The World Bank described that the most dangerous thing to the economy of this country is the energy sector debt. The current or the gone U.S. ambassador said that they never thought that the ECG, the debt there was so huge. The problem is bigger than what they thought. These are our development partners looking at it. We as a country, what are we doing to contribute to the resolution of that matter when other countries are even fearing for us? We must arrest this issue, confront it frontally, once and for all. The minority are not telling us that when they were in power, what particular levy that was ring-fenced to arrest the energy sector debt, which has been there. They tried a cash waterfall. We were here when we discussed, they collected 40 million Ghana cedis and paid only 10 million. When you continue to pile up, there should be a leader who has looked the problem in the face and say, I didn't cause it, but I will resolve it.
This is a case whereby during campaign, your party actually did promise Ghanaians that there was going to be less taxes. And that is where Ghanaians are saying, look, if you told us you're going to scrap e-levy, if you told us you're going to scrap the nuisance tax, why are we having another tax coming in?
Is this tax, would you describe this tax as nuisance when you have over 80 billion debt hanging? Almost 4 billion Ghana cedis, dollars.
The NPP also describe e-levy as a nuisance tax.
No, not certainly as an opposition. They are doing what they are supposed to do. But I'm facing the reality with you. You need $1.2 billion to buy fuel. What money did they leave to buy the fuel at the energy sector? Let me cite an example. We brought in ESLA for a purpose. Is that not it? With sunset clauses. It was used to collateralize for up to 2035. They took $2.4 billion. What amount of this was used to even arrest the technical losses, the commercial losses at the energy sector? What is happening is not just the increment, but there are technical losses. The technical losses include the transmission of the power you produce and how much it leaks along the line. The commercial losses are the inefficiencies that is there where they are not able to collect the needed revenue. They lose almost $1 billion all the time and so on. If we don't tackle this thing, then we'll play politics with it as it is today. We are going to pay bitterly for it in future. We are going to pay. My brother talked about the fact that it was a midnight tax, nobody knew about it. Should we begin to list those things? When you brought in bills behind the closed doors and make sure that you pass them. But for me,
I think... What of the bills did they bring?
When was it, Bill? What time was it?
They didn't impose any tax.
No, come on. There are a lot of bills.
You are making accusations, so you have to substantiate.
That is what I've just given an example.
They didn't impose tax. Japan did not impose any tax.
You gave us 40 taxes. We're dealing with the 40 taxes. It was through those 40 taxes we realized that the tax on birth winnings and others were nuisance, and we removed them. They are completely different from the fuel tax. It's completely different from e-levy, completely different from emissions tax. This one is going to be ring-fenced purposely to deal with the energy sector debt. Who is going to pay? Someone should tell me who is going to pay. It's the same Ghanaian people.
But before you make your point, the NPP says that the percentage is quite high because if you even want to do this, start off on a low. start off on 1%, 2%, 3%, but 8% is quite high.
8% of what? You see, 8%. And the important thing is not going to affect, what do you call it, the transport, because we have constantly told people it's not going to affect them. And I heard Honorable, yes.
How?
How? Because the price of fuel as at now is all-time low. And because it is all-time low, it's also being backed by, you know, fuel imports are mostly by foreign currency, the dollar and so on. The dollar as at now is making the fuel importations lower as compared to previously high it is. When this country, when a liter of fuel went as high as 70, even 23 per liter and so on. Now, as we talk now, because of the reduction in the price of fuel, it is cascading into almost every aspect of our life.
You have made the drivers reduce the cost of transportation.
That's why we are saying that this fuel levy is not going to affect
even though they've reduced the cost of transportation?
It's not going to affect. That's why it has been explained today themselves. It has been assured, they've assured them. And I think what the opposition should be doing is to make sure this money that we are collecting should be used for exactly what it is used for. This is the first time. Remember, we brought ESLA to arrest the energy sector challenges. What did they bring when they were there? They were simply managing the energy sector as if it was a cash cow. We can go in and on and on and on after every aspect of the energy sector.
If I'm buying fuel at 52 Ghana cedis, 52 pesos right now per gallon, and I end up buying it later at 57 Ghana cedis, 0.2 pesos, are you telling me that it's not going to affect my business?
No, because it's not even up to what you were buying, even with all this.
It's not you were, because we have reduced.
Yes, but even at 16, at 16, it's still not up to 16. But you were buying,
but you have still reduced transportation fares.
Yes, that is what we are saying. That's why we've assured the
So after reducing transportation fares by 15%, now you impose a 1 cedi on every liter. Now who bears that cost?
It will not, because we have gone through. This is a thought-through policy. It's a thought-through bill that was brought. The calculations, the nuances have been done. So what we are saying, and we have assured the public and even GPAT, all the stakeholders, like my brother was saying this morning, that it is not going to affect the transport fares, unless if you want to just be mischievous. But they are in Parliament, it has presented, the mid-year budget is going to come on. They would monitor to see whether this levy in particular is going to affect the transport fares or not. So that they come out with it. But for now, what they are doing is they should rather be supporting us, because where we are today, they cost it. They cost it completely. They left out with 40 new taxes. They left out the energy sector that's bleeding. We've seen the corruption and all the inefficiencies in the energy sector. The Millennium Challenge Compact withdrew because the amount of, that's over $190 million that was supposed to be used for the retooling of the energy sector, technical losses and so on. They withdrew because they identified that the PDS issue was fraught with corruption. And as a result, the Americans, you know how they deal with this. They withdrew. So for me, it is a tax that we've come to a position that you need to, because if you don't, 1.2 million fuel you are buying yearly for this one. And the fuel is not put on the consumer. Because the PR said if the fuel is put on, then the increments will be about 50% of it. Okay. So it is not part of, and I think these are the things that our members of Parliament on the opposition should be monitoring. Whether is there a way that is going to be passed on to the consumer or not. And that is where the watchdog will then catch people who are implementing the policy. But for now, I think that they're ejaculating too fast.
Okay. Kwame Nkrumah, Honorable says it looks like the NPP is ejaculating too fast. Do you agree?
Well, I would state my position by starting with what Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah said on the 25th of November, 1964. It's a short quote. And this was at the ceremony inaugurating the atomic energy project. He stated that we have therefore been compelled to enter the field of atomic energy because this already promises to yield the economic source of power since the beginning of man. Our success in this field would enable us to solve the many-sided problems which face us in all the spheres of our development in Ghana and in Africa. It is too late to cry over spilt milk. This is a statement from 61 years ago, showing the direction in which Ghana was supposed to go and where we should have been by now. This statement has been hammered on by other comrades, Isaac Kweku Dazi and Mr. Kwame Jantua, and many other Nkrumahs everywhere. What is happening with this D-levy is painful, but it is necessary. It is necessary. It is painful, but it is necessary. We don't have a choice. In a way, all of us, collectively, whether CPP, NDC, NPP, we are paying for the sins of not following up on the prophecies of our founder. This is 1964. This is 61 years ago. Launching atomic energy projects. Where are we now? In 2015, the International Atomic Energy Agency visited the country, and at that time, we're looking at the Nuclear Regulatory Authority of 2015. 2016, we took further action. 2017, 2018, all the way to 2022. Both the NDC and the NPP have in a way tried to solve this economic crisis. But the way it is going, it is not long-term. It is not long-term. This 1 cedi levy, it is draconian. But is there a way out? No. This is a legacy debt. You cannot pin it on one party or the other. The debt has to be
It's been accumulated over a period.
Exactly. Somebody has to bite the bullet. We are the generation that it has fallen on. It is very painful. But whilst we are at it, let us go back to the drawing board. Let us recognize that what we are doing now is not sustainable. It's a quick fix.
But do you think
it's a short-term measure?
If the majority or the government had decided to start with probably 50 pesos, Ghanaians would have received it better?
I don't think so, because, taxes, honestly speaking, even though, the Bible says if you owe taxes, pay taxes. Give unto Caesar what is...
What belongs to Caesar.
What belongs... Taxes is not something that anybody is fond of. You understand me? Even if it was 50 pesos, there'll be a complaint. But I'll have to give the government credit for postponing its implementation by a week. It has shown that it is listening to the people. I also commend the minority. They had a very educative press conference. We're all in this soup together. All in all, this levy is necessary. There's not much you can do about it. Maybe they can look at reducing the amount. The minority has proposed throwing the gauntlet to PURC and other regulatory authorities so that it becomes a non-political decision. It becomes a well-thought-out decision. Because, of course, every government will be desperate to make an impact. And I think in that sense, I do agree with the minority that it is necessary for this debt to be paid, but it shouldn't be a political decision. The moment it becomes political, we go back to trying to do something as quickly as possible, because we are thinking of the next election. We are thinking of today. We are thinking of Ghanaians are shouting loudly. So within this 1 week, the majority can look inwards and see whether there's another way. But all in all, we still have to...
Which other way can there be?
There have been other... In the short term. In the long term, nuclear energy, as Osajifo said on 25th November 1964, is the only way. However, in the short term, we can look at throwing it back to PURC, as was said, and other regulatory, non-political organizations, in order to see whether it can be put on the electricity bills we are paying or any other, it can be spread out on other bills. Because we all know that there's a ripple effect when fuel prices increase. It affects everything. However, when prices of other consumables increase, it doesn't really have that ripple effect that fuel has. So let's throw it back to PURC as suggested by the minority. But all in all, we still have to pay this legacy debt. We do. There's no other way. Let us remember the sacrifice that was done. Let us remember the colors of the flag. The red stands for the sacrifice of our forefathers. It has fallen on us. We have become used to soft life. No, we have to wake up and smell the coffee for the sake of posterity.
Okay.
So the majority has taken the right decision by trying to take action by suspending it. But all in all, we have to bite the bullet. We need to start paying for this for the sake of our children and our grandchildren. We cannot keep on suspending this, hoping that some way, somehow, things will sort themselves out.
Right. It looks like things won't sort themselves out, like Kwame Nkrumah is saying. Now, talking about that, if it won't solve on its own, it won't sort itself out, then it means that if the NDC decides not to do it, one day the NPP will have to come and do it.
Exactly.
And probably implement bigger tax here. Yes.
Rosalind, I hear people say that prices of fuel have come down, and based on that, it's not better to put one cedi on it. The question I keep asking myself is that in 2022, after COVID, world market prices of oil went to about $150, from below $50 to about $150. When it shot up to about $150, it pushed our fuel prices at the pump in Ghana to about 23 cedis. Mm-hmm. When it got to 23 cedis, the government had to take painstaking measures, including the good for you policy, to bring it all the way down to the 14 cedis that we handed over before we left office in 2024. So the question I ask myself is, when we came all the way from 23 to 14, could the government have said that, okay, we've come all the way down to 14, so let me add one cedi?
As of the time you're coming to 14, world prices were also dropping eventually.
World prices are dropping, so it's not just it's good you understand that, so I'm coming. No, gold for oil brought it down.
It's not just gold for oil.
Gold for oil brought it down, because I was a trader.
Right.
And when gold for oil, we implemented gold for oil, the first 3 to 4 months, it brought it down from 23 all the way to about 16, before even the world prices started to come down. So we saw the initial effect before the world prices came down, then it pushed it down to about 14. Now, when it came to 14, the point I'm trying to make is, would it have been acceptable that the government to say, we came all the way down, so take one cedi tax because we had come from COVID, we needed money? Would they have accepted it? That today, when prices have moved from 14 to 11, that Ghanaians are going to have some respite. You tell us that we should pay one cedi and it's okay. How many of the people who implemented that tax, this levy, how many of them are going to pay the one cedi? Those in government today, how many of them are going to pay the one cedi? If they wanted to be genuine with us, and if they didn't want to even sneak it in, they could have told us that, okay, government is going to cut fuel of all government appointees by this percentage. Then we know that today, if my brother goes to take a CEO position, his fuel has been cut. So he's going to feel the pinch. So he will not see that the one cedi is an easy thing to pay.
Right.
I kind of feel insulted when I hear people in government tell me that the one cedi is not anything. Do they even think about the ordinary people that voted for them today? Now, let me clear a misconception that has been espoused severally. It's very disingenuous on the part of anybody, and today I want to state it clearly, very disingenuous on the part of anybody to say that the previous government built up the debt in the energy sector. Rosalind, as at 2017, when we were taking over, the report available indicates that the erstwhile government had left a debt of $2.5 billion, which was about 6% to GDP. $2.5 billion in the energy sector. And that $2.5 billion was not the total debt in the energy sector. That $2.5 billion was just debt that was owed to BDCs who have supplied fuel to the government and were not paid. And that was based on it was based on that decision that the ESLA levy was passed to collect funds. These BDCs were owing banks. So in 2017, the banks came and said, we cannot wait for ESLA to collect all the funds before we are paid. We want our money now. So government had to float bonds. And within the first 4 years, as at 2020, the evidence available and the facts available shows that ESLA collected 8.7 billion cedis to pay off the BDCs, the amounts that the BDCs owed. And I'll show you a document. I'll send a document to you so that you can share with your viewers that the BDCs in their report, in a report by the BDCs, that is, a government settles $1 billion legacy debt. The Ghana Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors Seaboard says it has received from the government US $1 billion being full and final payment for legacy debts used in the bulk oil distribution companies from 2012 to 2020. According to the chamber, the government on January 13, 2020, finalized all payments of the debts accrued over the period July 2011 to June 2015. Look at the dates, plus interest capped at March 2018. This statement was released by Senyor Hosi. Mm-hmm. He was then the Seaboard Chief Executive. Yeah. It said cash payments constituted $447.72 million, Bank of Ghana bonds, $290 million, while ESLA bonds were $339. So ESLA was used to pay off debt. Mm-hmm. Anybody who says ESLA was not used, and you know, annually, ESLA proceeds, what we use the ESLA for, there was an ESLA report that was submitted to Parliament. Was there any period that you heard members of Parliament saying that the ESLA report that came to Parliament showed that the funds have not been used for anything? What was happening was the collections from the ESLA levy was being used to service the bond that was used to pay off some of these banks. And then apart from that, let me finalize this. Apart from the 2.5 billion debts, these were not the only debts that they left us. So when the doomsday came, they had to procure emergency power plants called the EPP. And then apart from the emergency power plant, they signed 32 contracts, IPP, independent power producers. These 32 contracts plus the EPPs all came at a contract, it came with a contract called the take or pay. That we now call the excess capacity charges. Whether you take or you don't take, you pay. So annually, apart from this 2.5 billion that we had to service from the ESLA, annually, government had to pay $500 million for take or pay.
Okay.
So for take or pay.
I just want us to understand something. So you said that the NPP met a debt in
a huge debt
of $2.5
billion.
Fantastic. When NPP was leaving in 2024, they also left
so in
a debt of $2.5 billion.
I'm coming.
US
if you had allowed me to land, I would have come there. When Nanado,
it's taken a while to get there.
When Nanado, in Nanado's last State of the Nation address in Parliament in December, he stated, and he was very truthful. He said, I met a debt of $2.5 billion. I'm leaving a debt of $2.5 billion in the energy sector. Because he was paying $500 million annually take or pay. He was paying...
So Michael, I'm coming. To catch you here,
I'm coming.
That is why you were put there as president, to solve the problem. So if you came in to meet a debt, Michael, I'm just making a point, please. You came in to meet a debt of $2.5 billion. Let's say you are going on
not just saying, $2.5 billion.
I am leaving $1.5 billion.
Rosalind,
that makes more sense.
Rosalind, no.
Say
no,
I
Rosalind,
also I'm leaving with
Rosalind, he didn't meet just a debt of $2.5 billion. He met a debt of $2.5 billion. An annual payment of $500 million. The 8 years, calculate the $500 million. Annually, he had to look for $500 million, no fault of his, to pay. And he managed it. I'm coming. He managed it. Apart from that, just recently, Honorable John Jinapo came to Parliament and told us that in the year 2024 alone, the fuel that we were using to service these IPPs, the Nanado government spent 24 billion cedis in 2024 alone. And every year it increases 24 billion cedis just to purchase fuel. So he was spending 24 billion cedis to purchase fuel, finding $500 million every year to pay for something he didn't use, and was servicing that $2.5 billion. All right. Then okay. You come and you tell us that the fuel that somebody spent 24 billion, you project that you will spend 30 billion cedis annually because demand has gone up, demand for power has gone up, and you cannot get funds.
All right.
You cannot get funds to pay the 30 billion, so you need to pass on a 1 cedi levy to us. The inconsistencies are very alarming. One breath, they tell us that the 1 cedi is being used to pay debt. The next breath, they tell us that the 1 cedi is being used to purchase fuel, which is
debt.
Okay. All
It's
right.
all debt.
Wait.
No, there is legacy debt and there is fuel.
So
fuel is debt.
I just want to.
You have to purchase it. You don't boil fuel here.
All right, Honorable, it's your time.
When we buy the fuel, what is left is also used to arrest other debts that is happening. So it's not just a one-shot.
No, you don't buy fuel to arrest other debts. The fuel is given straight to the
IPP balance
to generate electricity.
The balance that is
which balance? Honorable, which balance?
My sister, listen to me carefully. You remember when Kufuor came to power? As at that time, the energy sector was 400 million Ghana cedis at the time. And Kufuor said that the energy sector debt was collapsing Ghana Commercial Bank and that they would have to do something and increase fuel. That is what we call the legacy debt. It has been there. And you must have bold leadership to arrest it. If not, every year it keeps going on and on and on. And the poor consumer who buys, light at the prepaid stage is made to pay this. We must stop it. It is not about regurgitating what has gone on and on. You were there. Even the simple thing of taking the cash waterfalls to pay independent power producers in this country. We saw what happened. You collected the money, you paid just 10 million. The 30 million you were expecting who to pay. We've discussed this, and I agree with him. The former president said that. But how do you take a debt and then you say that you came and met 10 cities, and when you were going, you left 10 cities? So the 8 years, what were you doing?
8 years, there was no doom.
Excuse me.
There was no doom in the 8 years. He managed it.
Excuse me.
He managed it.
Mike,
I think you talked a lot.
Please.
You see, a married deal, you criticize it. When it came, you went and padded over $800 million on it. You sent a delegation. If you were interested in this country, you sent
can you substantiate it? Saying
I cannot.
Somebody padded $800 million on a deal.
Do you remember when the president said he was misled and Ajako had to lose his job? How much was it?
Let him.
Can you provide those?
No. These are
you
facts.
say people padded $800 million.
Yes. I just want him
facts from where?
Facts from where? You didn't get the American brouhaha when the minister.
No, you see, there's difference from suspicions and facts.
These your issues were raised on the floor of Parliament. They were raised on the floor of Parliament.
There is nothing on the floor of Parliament that somebody padded $800 million on a deal.
Why was Ajako?
Let me just listen to what he has to say, please.
You did that. You are
accusing Ajako.
I didn't say. I said it led to Ajako losing his position.
Please make your point and then let's
this take or pay power that they've been complaining about up to today. Which of these generators did you swing them off?
Okay, so
that would have enabled you to show that you have so much. As we talked this morning, we've even grown into the quantity of megawatts.
All right. Honorable, do you have facts to the 800 million you just spoke
I have facts. Haven't we discussed this in so many times?
No, but the facts
Google it.
The money.
No, Google it, please. We had a report. You sent over
right
40 people.
Of the money.
That was, yes. So let him.
Right?
If it is an allegation, this thing has been discussed copiously on your platform at all the media stations on the floor of Parliament.
Is what I'm asking.
Yes,
it's an allegation.
That was it's not an allegation. It's the report that we got. That is the report we are discussing.
Can I have the report, please?
Maybe you'll get
$800 million was padded.
Because if we don't have
$800 million.
No.
I've never heard.
I've
followed the energy sector.
No. Rosalind,
religiously, never.
Honorable,
and it led to.
Please, I understand where you're coming from, but we also have to speak to facts because there are people watching us. If we don't speak to facts and it's
so what are the facts? Unless contrary facts are
I just want to make a point here. If we don't speak to facts, what can happen is that they can come for us and sue us.
No, when they'll come for
No,
me.
please. So we will have to let you own your words. And if it's an allegation, just use the word allegation and then we take it from there. Until proven guilty, we can't say that it is a fact. We are pleading.
Rosalind.
Yes, Honorable.
First of all, we've discussed this issue copiously. As we talked this morning, the issues that led to the energy minister Ajako leaving his position is very clear and replicating all over the media and the social media station. It was the same thing that the president said that he was misled.
Is a padded 800 million we are talking about?
So if you have contrary view, then you bring it that it wasn't so.
No, but Honorable, if for you it is an allegation, just say it's an allegation, that it was alleged at that time that there was a pardon of 800.
It was alleged at that time.
Okay,
so let's continue. So as we talk now, that married deal that they criticize so much has been sent to Kumasi to augment the power supplies in the Kumasi and then the other zones and so on. This was a critical moment that we had to acquire all these power packages because John Dramani Mahama at the time said that I didn't cause the legacy problem. I did not cause the issues or the challenges, but I'll fix it. And indeed, he fixed it. You came, you wasted all of us our time, take or pay. This issue even came up that we're paying 1 billion. You remember when the Minister for Finance on the floor of Parliament was called to answer, he said that they were not paying 1 billion, but it was about $900 million or so. So we've gone past all these things. Still, there's an amount of over 83 billion. That is staggering. That is facing all of us in this country. What do we do? Are they recommending source that can be mobilized, the revenue that you can mobilize to be able to write all this debt? It continues to affect almost every sector of this country. The small trigger of power outage, it caused all of us and so on. As a government, we've been voted into power to resolve the problems or to solve the problems. What the minority should be doing now is to help us solve problems that we did not commit. Like, I like the way my people got that. It's an issue that it has transcended almost every government. But when we can, we should not be singing a song of, you did that, you did that. What we have put there, is it going to solve the problem? Is it going to be that the money is going to be ring-fenced and used directly for exactly what it was used for? When they went in for the 2.4 billion collateralization of the ESLA, was it actually used for the purposes for which it was for which they went for? No. If it was so, it wouldn't have allowed the energy sector there to continue to hemorrhage up to where we sit now.
Okay.
So sometimes you can go for the loan for a purpose, then the usage becomes a different thing.
So this
the
is
current,
where,
let me end on this note. The current comment by the U.S. ambassador that going to Virginia, at Palma, said that, look, what they taught, the energy at ECG, is more than what they were thinking that was there. I didn't make that comment. They have the data that is that. So for me, it is not an issue of one to unnecessarily put, hardship on people and so on. That is why government in this has reduced its expenditure. The president came in with 60, nominated ministers.
The appointees?
The appointees, and we have not even finished. The president has reduced so many pegs that goes around with the positions of government appointees, including frivolous things. They said, look, you must not bear, because we understand the weight of the debt on the people of this country. That is why almost every minister this time is no more in an ostentatious mood, and the atmosphere is even calm for us.
Honorable,
so government is honorable, has reduced its expenditure around government appointees and so on. So let's get that. Most people are buying their fuels this time.
Most people are buying, but most people are not buying. So as much as we'll say most people are buying, most people are still not buying, and they are government appointees. Yeah. And Michael made a point saying that if only they had decided to say, okay, government appointees, we are also taking a certain percentage of what we give to you with regards to fuel to make sure that we clear this debt, probably people would have been okay with it. Yes. You think so?
Yes, Rosalind, I think so. And during the press conference, one journalist, I've forgotten who, made a very, very good statement that there should be stakeholder engagement by the minority at the markets, the churches, and then mosque. And I think I heard
you followed it. You followed it very well.
Honorable Shaib Jerry saying that they have started. The same way, the majority should also do that stakeholder. You'll be surprised as to how policies would work if we went from the ground up rather than from the top down. Because people will see this 1 cedi levy. Then you pass by in 8 V8s, and they'll be thinking, what is all this about? Are you getting your fuel from another place that we don't know of? But when you take the people along, as the CPP used to do, I think at the beginning we mentioned the youth, with the youth brigade and all those things. Take people along with you, both minority, majority, CPP, explain to the people on the ground why this is taking place and why we have to take these decisions. And also to hammer on what Honorable said, that about the Ameri deal. In the medium term, the Ameri deal is a very good deal. I had the privilege of dealing with a very minor legal aspect of that deal. But now I must also say that we also have to exercise a bit of caution about the $800 million, because I didn't come across anything like that. But I also think that the Amari deal should have been dealt in a better way by the minority when they came into power. We could have averted some of these things. And also, I would land by saying that meeting 2.5 billion and leaving
2.5 billion US dollars
may seem like at least you haven't added more, but at the same time, it reminds me of the parable of the talent, where he said, "My Lord, you gave me this amount, I'm giving it back to you."
Yeah.
And the Lord said that you should have added more. You know, we should always seek to add more. When Osajifo built the Akosombo Dam, within the shortest period, he was proposing atomic energy. You understand me? We should always be thinking long term. We are all in this together. We should be thinking long term.
So do you think minorities should agree to this?
Well, I would say that they should agree to this, but as to whether, in the beginning you suggested whether it should be reduced to 50 pesos or not. They should agree to this, but most importantly, the people on the ground, the ordinary Ghanaian, must agree to this. It shouldn't always be about the policy makers, the decision makers, or the politicians. And I think in a way they already agree that this debt has to be paid, but it is a method. It is a method. And there's
because if it's not paid now, it will be paid one day.
Exactly.
And if it's not paid under the NDC, it will be paid under the NPP.
Exactly.
Is the NPP willing that, you know, Ghanaians will come at them when they call for this to be paid?
Exactly. And even their press conference itself makes the situation even more urgent, because they made the point that if you convert it into cedis, the debt is about 80 billion Ghana,
70 billion Ghana.
70 Ghana billion cedis
70
plus.
billion, yeah.
And they made the point that if the one cedi is implemented, by December, only 9 billion cedis would have been generated.
Yeah.
So that means that it will take about maybe about 8 years, give or take. So that means if we want to really fix the problem in the immediate situation, then it shouldn't be 1 cedi, it should be 10 cedis if we want to fix it by the end of the year. They have proffered some solutions. Let's all sit down together, and for the sake of posterity, let's see what we can bring out. Because as you said, they'll also come and meet it. Everybody will come and meet it. If it's when CPP wins power in 2028, we will also come and meet it. So we need to solve the problem now. And we are all interested in solving this problem.
So I'm just wondering, and I know most people who are watching us, they're also wondering, is that the reason why probably the NPP left government with the same debts they met?
Well, I suppose so. I suppose so, because they realized that if they were to take...
You should ask me that.
If they were to take the measures that they were supposed to take, they would have become probably unpopular.
Yeah, because the E-levy made them unpopular.
Exactly.
So now bringing a D-levy would have even worsened the situation, right?
Exactly. But it still has to be done. It still has to be done. And when they had the chance, they did what they wanted to do. They should have gone further and cleared this debt. But, of course, sometimes we look at votes and coming back into power rather than the problem, the collective destiny of the country.
Okay, so Michael, you said I should have asked you that question.
Yeah, you should have asked me that question because you see, I've sent you a document.
Yes, government completes payment of all BDC's legacy debts.
Yes, with ESLA. This from the Ministry of Finance. It was submitted to Parliament. So
in February 2020.
Yes, Ali.
Yes.
So as at 2020, everything by 2020, everybody knows that the NPP first administration, they did fantastic. We did fantastically well. And as at 2020, we are paid off all these debts. Then we are hit with COVID, getting from 2020 to 2022. You have this whole spectacle that you are not even sure of on top of your head, and things start to turn around. You would not want to introduce another tax, excessive tax like 1 cedi on the people. You have to have conscience.
But you introduced e-levy.
We introduced e-levy, which was 1%.
You introduced betting tax.
E-levy, which was 1%. COVID levy was a percentage. Betting tax was a percentage on bet winnings. Now, e-levy, it wasn't everybody who was going to pay. We looked at those in the minimum bracket that we felt, okay, those who are low-income earners.
E-levy?
Yes, e-levy. Low-income earners, those who earn very low in a day. If you are sending 100 cedis, you are exempted. That was the reason the 100 cedis was exempted, so that those in the lower income level will be exempted. Then apart from that, I'm coming.
Who is sending 100?
No. So anybody? What the assumption was that there were people when it went to Parliament. The debate was that there were people that in a day they can't even make 100 cedis. So the idea was anybody who is sending 100 cedis in a day, you are exempted, so that those in that lower bracket are taken out. And then e-levy, there were people who even go and go to the bank to cash money so that they would do distribution without even sending it. People found their ways to go around the e-levy. If you are not sending money, you are not paying e-levy. If you are going to the farm to spray your farm, you are not paying e-levy. But with d-levy, no matter what there's this cascading effect. No matter who you are, whether you decide to take a car or not, you pay, because goods, the transportation cost of transporting goods will be passed on to you. So it's not just those who are driving or those who are commuting through public transport, but then those who are transporting goods also pass on to all the consumers. So eventually everybody pays
d-levy. What if government insists that it shouldn't be passed on? Like government is saying they will make sure that, the d-levy is not passed on to the consumer.
Rosalind, as you are sitting here, we don't have a choice. You and I, we do not have a choice in this. I hear my brother, my uncle here say that we should monitor how it's going to be used, and that he will urge the minority to follow religiously how it's going to be used. The point is, even when you were passing, you didn't give us a choice. Rosalind, the mistake a lot of us are doing is we speak as if it is now being passed. It's passed.
Yeah, it's passed.
It's a pill that we've been forced to swallow already. So whether you like it or not, you start paying. On the 15th, you will start paying from the 15th. So we do not have a choice in this. We do not even have a say. They've done it. When you were passing, you didn't give us a choice. How much more, how you use it?
All right, so messages coming in. This is quite interesting, I must say. It says, good morning, Joy Primary. Look, Ghanaians are ready to pay. Even when it was 18, we were buying, so 12 cedis is much less as ferries. Okay, All right, good morning, Rosalind. I heard the MP for Forikrom saying that d-levy isn't affecting the appointees of the president. I hope he's not forgotten about 1 month pay for Mahama Care program. This is more than enough for sacrifice. Ignatius from Bolga, he continues by saying that the d-levy is to reset the electricity sector, which is very, very important to our economy. So let's agree with all our hearts and our souls. Ignatius from Bolga. So, Honorable, I just want to find out, or let me go to Kwame Nkrumah and then I'll come to Honorable Timothy. Looking at this, when the e-levy was implemented, people were not happy about it. But it's quite interesting that the response with regards to the d-levy is not like the e-levy. It's divided. There are people who really want it to happen because they are tired of the energy crisis, but they were not too happy about the e-levy to fix the roads.
Yeah, well, I suppose that the timing of the d-levy to counts. It's come at a point where the dollar has fallen, fuel prices have fallen, the economy seems to be doing well. But when the e-levy came, it came to somehow compound an already dire economic situation. So I suppose that those who are accepting it, they see that there seems to be some goodwill, there seems to be some progress, so they are prepared to go along. And of course, as the point was made by one of the majority members, I listened to him, that this is actually to recoup what has been gained by Ghanaians through the reduction. So it is not as if we are paying anything new.
Okay.
It is just to collect what was gained through the fuel reduction, the drop in the dollar, to fix the problem.
All right. Good morning. Yes, Honorable, you want to say something?
No, I was listening to him about the e-levy, that the e-levy was selected in this, those who would have to do business with it. Look, e-levy, transactions alone are in billions. Telling about how people have become used and acclimatized to e-levy in doing business, it covers every aspect. Even dead bodies were paying e-levy. How come? I will explain that even unborn children.
Wow.
Because if I transmit money to a relative for mortuary fees and whatnot, it is deducted. If you transmit money on e-levy to even a pregnant woman to pay bills and so on, it is being covered and so on. It was an obstructionist type of tax rather than promoting businesses and so on. And those who were into that business said that, look, it was affecting them across the country. If you once you send money, and people even bought a lot of things like you take money from your purse into your mobile account and you have to pay and so on. Later on, when the noise came up, and then there were some thresholds, but when it came up later on, when any amount you send, they deducted now. It's no more like it must be after 100. No, don't go about that.
I was spending money and I wasn't deducting anything less than 100.
You can put it on.
Okay, maybe the other people, but for me...
Yes, money is that, initially it was...
alone on it.
No, it's a fact. Look, even the initial said it was 100 Ghana cedis.
Yes, it was.
But later on, when the tax, they were forced to reduce the amount of money. Any amount that you say, the trick, you put it. I experienced it. I won't tell life.
No,
a lot of people.
Okay, if you are home and you experience this, send your messages to us. Let's
we do a lot of money
maybe it is the provider that was overcharging.
So let me come this way. Then also, when you come to the 1 cedi for the fuel, it's absolutely different from the e-levy. E-levy is completely different. The fuel is targeted at resolving a problem that has been cancerous over the years. We need to apply heavy doses of chemotherapy to that cancerous cells.
All right, thank you very much.
Which is the energy sector levy.
All right, this one says, good morning. The 1 cedi levy, the 1 cedi D-levy is not only insensitive, but also a reckless attempt by government to reap what they didn't sow. Ghanaians are already overwhelmed with taxes, and any additional tax will only worsen their pride. 28% of pump price for fuel are taxes, and you tell me the levy is not going to affect me? I can say for a fact that 15% transport reduction only affected the passenger and not the transportation of goods. In some places, price of transporting goods has increased. The cost of hiring a tractor to work on farm hasn't changed, and in some cases went up. So why are the government communication tests telling us it's not going to affect us? Kefrin Pom says that sometimes when technology. All right, so Kefri says, good morning, Roslyn. A government comes to power and decides to scrap a betting tax. Someone stake a bet and win 100,000, and even above, but government says that person don't have to pay tax. Government takes tax from salary workers who earns less than 5K. What sort of society are we building? The same government then turn around to introduce D-levy tax 4.5 Ghana cedis on a gallon of fuel. This analogy that fuel price has gone down is neither here nor there. Fuel price raised to 17 Ghana cedis in 2022. It was reduced to 12 Ghana cedis in 2023. Yet Akufo-Addo government didn't tax Ghanaians because fuel prices has gone down. Members of Parliament exchanged blows in Parliament all because of 1% e-levy. Today, the very people who threw blows and made all sort of noise are supporting a tax 8 times higher than the 1% e-levy. How do you pay $3.1 billion in debt with 9 billion? It's not $3.1 it's $2.5 billion, my darling. You said with 9 billion Ghana cedis from this levy by 2026. Is that even feasible? Let's get serious. All right. So talking about that, they are doing the math. They are not saying they'll use all of that to solve the problem in a year. It will take a while. So it's not that they are taking the money to solve the problem by 2026. It doesn't happen like that. All right. Good morning, Madam. The NPP administration was better managers of the electricity than the NDC. regretted big time for voting for the NDC. John Abasang from Kandema. Kadima, okay. I shall pay 1 Ghana cedis to get my lights on any day. With the lights on, I can always work. Eric from Cove Town. Good morning to you. One of the main drawbacks of strike action is the potential damage it can cause to relationship between employees and employers. Strike can create animosity and resentment on both sides, leading to long-lasting rifts that can be difficult to repair. Instead of fostering open communications and cooperation, strike can create an adversarial atmosphere that hinders the possibility of finding common ground and reaching a mutual beneficial agreement. Aaron Beba Kokokomisa. All right, so I have a lot of messages. All right, good morning, Roslyn. Seems you are not getting the argument right. Nanado left $2.5 billion. Doesn't mean he didn't attempt paying the debt. He manages in order not to increase it. Okay, so wow. Wow. I don't know what to say about this. So it's not about money.
So you should be keeping it.
Okay.
He managed
At this point,
Yes,
what
so it
Ghanaians
should be
are
there.
asking for from the sitting government
it should
is
just
that
be there.
if you have come to meet this debt, we don't want you to go out of power and tell us that you manage a debt to remain at the same price or the same amount that you met. So if the NDC government is saying they've met 2.5 billion debt in the energy sector, we expect that in 2028 or during elections 2028 or maybe 2029, we should know that we are probably maybe 1 million or maybe 500,000. But we don't want to hear that like, oh, we came to meet 2.5 billion, dollars of debt.
After
and
that,
we have left
dashing them
$2.5 billion dollars of debt. We don't want to hear that. All right.
After taking 5.7 billion from our pocket, you don't expect you to come and tell us that there's debt ever again.
We don't want to hear that anymore. Good morning.
Okay.
Indeed, this deceptive and clueless government led by Mahama has deceived Ghanaians who entrust their leadership to them. I cringe when people say on TV make unguided comments that this midnight robbery levy is necessary. What is necessary about excavating the hardship Ghanaians go through? What's necessary about the lies the NDC told Ghanaians about taxation? We were all in this country when President Mahama and his cohorts castigated and kicked against taxation in the country. What has changed? This hypocrisy must stop. It's an undeniable fact that the ordinary Ghanaian will bear the burden again for the sins of the NDC government, lack of clear vision and foresight. In summary, this fuel levy, Dumso, is draconian and Ghanaians must fight against it. Abdullah Abdul Razak from Tamale. Ghanaians should fight against it, Okay. Good morning, my beautiful sister Roslyn. I don't want to do so. I will support, and every reasonable Ghanaian must support this move. Roslyn, what are the nurses saying? If I were the health minister, I would have sacked all those on strike and asked them to reapply. Political spider can tamper. Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, political spider. It doesn't work like that. All right. Good morning, Roslyn. Did I hear Honorable Awontirim saying it won't affect us in any way? He should park his car and join us in trotro or taxi and see. How can you abolish betting tax for some few people and implement D-levy for the entire population? He should come again. Answer in Kumasi. Teacher Kojo Tepaina Suano says that the NDC government, while in opposition, engaged in a lot of propaganda and is now facing reality. They made a lot of noise and now they just can't govern the country. The job is too big for them due to the incompetence. Governing a country is not easy, and out of desperation, they passed a Dumso levy, causing Ghanaians to suffer without considering any other alternative. Greetings to Mr. Osubempa. All right. Good morning, Roslyn. I'll read just one more, and then we go on to our next topic. Good morning, Roslyn. Please tell Mr. Awontirim to stop the analysis and rather plead with the people of Ghana to bear with them. His analysis, to the extent he's putting blame on the previous administration, which administration signed all those take or pay agreements with IPPs. The previous administration did well by keeping our lights on without this draconian 1 Ghana cedis tax. Okay. All right, so I have to, let me do this one. I don't know who this one is, but the person has sent it so many times. Good morning, Roslyn. 2.5 billion US dollars under NDC is not the same under NPP. Convert it to cedis and you will see the clear deception of the NPP. Hey, now we have to do, calculations here. All right. Oh, he wrote a lot more. He said, it says that Ameri innovation deal was padded by 800 million. It took the vigilance of the NDC in Parliament to detect it. The president later said he was misled and fired his energy minister subsequently. All right, thank you all so much. The messages are coming. You people, so it's quite divided. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised that, we have people saying, I will pay it at any time. We have people saying, no, we are not paying this at all. Yes, Michael.
Today,
yeah.
OPEC is finding it hard. There's this inopportune moment where they are finding it hard to take a decision on their production cut. So what they normally do is they meet, when OPEC meets or OPEC Plus meets, then they decide based on the demand and supply, they decide how much production they should do, how much oil they should produce. If they see that there's too much oil on the market, then they start to cut. So countries will be asked to, let's say, cut 500 BPD per day, barrels per day, and so on. Now, some of the members of the group are finding it difficult to cut production. And based on that, there is enough excess oil on the market. That's pushed oil prices around $60. 2, China retaliated with tariffs, about 30% tariffs on the US. The moment they retaliated, it pushed oil prices down by $10 per barrel. And the Trump tariffs, okay, and then there's this Iran issues going on. These are all pushing oil prices down today. But then these things are not things that are permanent in the oil market if you understand how the oil market works. I saw somebody's comment that post-COVID, it wasn't $150. They should go and check. I've been doing trading for 8 years. I know every period what price we were buying oil, from President Kufuor's time till now. I know every period what price we were buying oil, even the refined products, how much we buy it. Today, oil price is around $60. Tomorrow, we can wake up and things will just change and prices will start to shoot up. Production cuts will definitely come because when there's too much excess supply, they have to cut production. When production cuts come and oil pushed to $80 per barrel, I bet you the oil has a relationship with the dollar. The moment it goes to $80, it means if you are using $60 to buy, now you have to get $80. So it means you need more dollars and it will have an effect on your cedi.
Michael,
then prices will start to go up.
For Ghanaians, we understand.
When prices start to go up, that is when you will feel the pinch of your one cedi that you are paying.
For Ghanaians, we want to know, is this necessary that we pay? Do we have to clear this energy sector debt?
We need to clear the debt, but not in this current mode, because it's not just the debt that we need to clear. There are issues. There are technical distribution losses and so on.
I just want to stick to this one.
I'm coming. I don't want you to get me wrong.
No, I won't get you wrong.
I don't want you to get me wrong.
I just want to know, do we need to clear the debt? Yes.
Listen, there are distribution losses. There are technical losses. We have not tackled these losses. You see, we take the ministers on based on their own words. When the Minister for Energy came for vetting, he stated, and I was sitting on the panel, he stated that one of the things he was going to do was to sit with the IPPs to renegotiate the take-or-pay agreements. That is one. 2, to make sure that there's efficiency in the chain so that distribution has he done those things?
Wait, Honorable, fair enough.
Before they even pass the one cedi.
So for us,
once you've been able to achieve these things.
For Ghanaians here, is the debt we are looking at.
The debt,
so
these things I'm talking about.
I understand.
The technicality.
I'm just asking you.
No, have they cleared those things?
Do we need to clear the 2.5 billion
Rosalind,
debt?
have they cleared it?
I just want to find out. Do
you
we
see,
need to clear
the energy sector?
Or you don't want to commit yourself?
The energy sector. Not that I don't want to commit. The energy sector, you can manage the energy sector like without clearing everything.
Honorable.
Because this debt that they are talking about, even this money, it will not clear everything at a go.
The question is, do we need to clear the debt?
We have to manage it.
Okay, so we have to manage it, not clear the debt.
Eventually, the debt will be cleared, but you have to manage it. In managing it, eventually it will be cleared.
So in managing it, if they say
You don't impose
Honorable,
a tax
I just want to ask
with the assumption that it will clear everything at a go.
No, they never said it's going to clear everything at a go. We all know that out of the calculation that even the NPP did yesterday, it tells us that by the end of the year, it's not going to clear everything at a go.
It can't clear.
But the question is, do we need to clear it? And if we do need to clear
Rosalind.
it, I'm just asking a question. If we do need to clear it, do we say then that this 1 cedi is a need?
It's not a need.
Okay.
It's not a need. It's excessive. It's excessive.
That means
if government had conscience, if they had conscience, they would have even reduced the 1 cedi. So that to an amount that would be very acceptable by all.
Much?
So that they know that if government had come and said, okay, we want to add a 30 peso to it, because if you understand petroleum, if you add 30 pesos, that's a lot of money. And this is the situation where you need it to buy fuel. How was the previous government getting money to buy the fuel? So in the same way, no, you have the books, you know.
No.
You know how they were getting money to buy the fuel.
No.
Anyway,
So in the same way,
argument,
if you had added even 30 pesos, you know that, okay, you are going to get extra income to add to whatever they were doing to get fuel, so that it will relieve us of the pain that this 1 cedi is going to put us through. You see, it is quite easy for people to say that the 1 cedi is not going to hurt us in any way. But sitting where I'm sitting and knowing how the oil markets work, things will change. Mark my words, things will change. And when things change and the prices start to shoot up, and the public who are today testing us and telling us that we will pay, start to complain, my honorable member will come and sit here and try to eat his words back. You mark it on.
Okay. Yes, honorable.
First of all, look, he talked about the plummeting nature of the oil market, the pricing and so on. Sometimes even government has windfall, and they use that to finance deficits. When the e-levy was coming, at that time, government had projected that they were going to spend 136 billion. And then the e-levy, it was estimated it would get 6 billion, and that they were going to use that to finance deficit. The deficit finance, if they had gotten their 6 billion, it would have still been left with 30 billion. How are you going to finance that? It would have still been left with 30 billion. You couldn't have financed it through the e-levy and so on. You understand? Today you are saying that it is too huge. It's too huge. We are telling that fuel now to procure to run this power is that we need an estimated $1.2 billion. Where are we taking that money from? The NPP did not tell us exactly where they were taking money to fuel the machines and so on. Where were they taking? Can they tell us one source that this was where that we're taking? Maybe from pollution tax and so on. No, they cannot, because I said I had the same argument. And your guy fumbled, he could not even tell us exactly
he didn't have
where.
his facts.
Because, no. That is why we are saying that this 1 cedi is going to be for purposely to do that. The bill is clear on what is that. It's not going to be paid into the consolidated fund so that it is mixed and it's used anyhow. It is targeting a purpose. If you have malaria, there's treatment for malaria. If you have stomach problem, there's treatment for stomach problem. If you have cancer, there's treatment. So this particular 1 cedi is for the fuel and other related expenditure.
But then do you agree that you have to have stakeholder engagements? Because as it stands now,
fine, I don't have
people don't
it's good.
feel that
in fact,
we need this, because you didn't campaign on taxes. You
yes.
campaigned that you will scrap nuisance taxes, and so some Ghanaians see this as nuisance.
No, listen. I for the stakeholder engagement. It's perfect because we are doing it for the people. And there's no democracy when you don't engage the people. Where you shortfall, you can say, look, I will go back to the drawing table and engage the people. That is why, is it COMAC or so? COMAC. They have to re-engage, government has to re-engage them for them to understand that no, what they are doing, they should have consulted. And that's why they postponed the date. That one, I have no problem with that. And for me, like I told him earlier on, they should be helping resolve the matter. This energy problem, if you play politics with it, like all of them, the two have said, it will come back to hit you. Let's resolve the matter today.
When did you realize this?
No. What the taxes? No, let me tell you. You left 40 taxes for us.
40?
40 is there. These are things that if you want to transmit them to you, right, I have those ones. Again, beyond that, when the taxes came, we said we're removing nuisance taxes.
You don't think this is nuisance?
No. It is solving a problem.
Who named that one nuisance tax?
Who named them nuisance tax?
Yeah.
We named them because even before we named them,
Yeah.
those that the taxes were affecting
So
were the people of this country.
To you, it was nuisance, but to probably them, it was a nuisance.
Then you can look at the usage of taxes too. People are ready to pay tax when they know their taxes are going to be pumped into development projects that can pay off. $58 million was put into a hole. And then we can go on to regurgitate all the quote-unquote, the meaningless revenues the government engage in and see whether the over 1 trillion Ghana cedis that they got, $30 billion that they got, if they had invested them even into the energy sector, into the road sector, would we be where we are today? Look at the fact that almost every institution, including even the energy sector institutions, are suffering because of heavy debts and so on. How are we going to do? We agree that, yes, this tax is affecting a lot of people. But what is the solution for now? What is the solution? We are in government for 6 months. You saw that this tax was not part of the main budget. You know it. It was not part because later on it was thought that if we don't do something about the energy sector, it will collapse us. It's going to collapse the whole economy. And we are planning to do 24-hour economy. We are planning that there are a lot of investment that are coming in the energy sector.
No, but how would it collapse the economy?
No. If we don't have stable lights, why? If the lights are not stable, how can we come and even sit here? And you see, as we talked this morning, Cosmos...
the NPP has this argument that they make, that even with the debt, that was a $2.5 billion US debt that they came to meet, they still were able to keep the lights on.
Well, you see, don't let us go to the issue they still were able to keep the light on. At what cost did they keep the light on? And at the end of the day, was that cost absorbed by keeping the lights off?
On.
The lights on. Was it absorbed by keeping the lights off? It's rather exacerbated. That is what we are having. That was why it led today going to PDS to sign the agreement in order to be able to do collection of the revenue and also to retool the technical challenges and the losses.
But it still led the same debt.
It's left the same. So if you kept the lights on, at what cost to other sectors and so on? So it must be holistic. As I talk to you now, you agree, I think he's in Parliament, he's aware that Cosmos Ghana is bringing in over $2 billion, if I'm right, to put up another gas station. And when we continue to get more gas now, what we'll do is that the cost of electricity will reduce because gas is a cheaper way of generating electricity than when you're using thermal energy and so on and so forth. And this fuel that we are talking, let me tell you, the problem, it's not just the mere fuel that we use for, it's heavy crude. Because you need heavy crude to be able to turn the machines right. It's just not the light crude that we are using. The light crudes are for light machines and so on. So it is imported in the ship that is offloaded to turn the machines.
Every fuel is imported in a ship.
No. What I'm talking about is
we have to move on to our next topic, unfortunately.
What is it? So for me,
because we have Harrison joining us this morning with regards to the UTAG conversation. Now we have 3 days before UTAG will go on a strike. Now, this is what UTAG says. They are saying that they'll go on strike because there's the delayed book and research allowance payment. So it hasn't been paid as delay, and they've given the government to June 13th, 2025. The next 3 days, they will embark on a strike. Dr. Joe Harrison has joined us. Good morning, Doc.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm great. How about you?
Fine, thank you. Now, we want to understand the situation with regards to UTAG embarking on the strike.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all our listeners. So, I think that everybody is pretty much aware that tertiary education lecturers are paid a reimbursable expenditure for books and research that they did in the previous academic year. And every year, they speak at the end of the academic year. That's always so. Typically, the traditional rate, the rate that's for calculating the book and research allowance, is action for the previous, the last month. So December 24 rate is what is used in calculating the book and research allowance. So the government over the engaged because there are public process that has followed. And so we have seen that indicate that these are the leaders here they have followed, because the various directors of finance have to cut for each person, and the sheet based on which government could reinvest in expenditure.
The network is not too clear, so we are struggling to hear you. All right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you keep breaking, so we can't hear you clearly.
Is it any better?
Yes, it's better now.
Okay, thank you. So what I'm saying is that since the government came into office, we've engaged them, we've written various letters to them outlining what they need to do, because the directors of finance from each campus would have to compile the list of the people who were in service for the period and how many months they were in service, so that this can be paid. But unfortunately, all our efforts have fallen on deaf ears, and we think that where things are going, it's almost like becoming a yearly ritual where once you sit at home, government doesn't listen to you. And so we are where we are today because government has, refused to listen and act on all our letters through our diplomatic channels and official communication.
Right. How many months arrears is it?
Oh, it's only a 12-month arrears. So typically, because it's a reimbursable expenditure, it is paid only at the end of the academic year. And if you realize, because of COVID, the academic year has to be adjusted over and over again by various campuses to suit their particular situations. So it's usually from August to July. But I'm saying that the process for the payment starts with the release of the rate for the payment, because these are denominated in foreign currency. And so the exchange rate has been published, and that allows the directors of finance for the various campuses to compute what each person is entitled to. And then the aggregated figure is sent to government for reimbursement. But as we speak, all our efforts to get government to release the rate and to kickstart the process has fallen deaf ears. And we think that we are in June, almost in the middle, and if the only language government understands is for us to be at home before they act, then so be it. And that is why we are where we are.
Okay, and so although efforts have failed, what has government said to you so far about it when you went to meet them?
Absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. And so that's what a frustration is. When, as a union, we communicate through official channels, and when we write letters, we expect that if there is feedback from government, then we know that government is thinking about us, government is going to be acting, or government is acting on those letters.
Okay.
But we write letters and have engagement, all the assurances come in, that nothing happens at the end of the day. Okay. And so you can't take those assurances, for concrete action, because directors of finance will only act on official letters that have come from the ministries. And so, well, unfortunately, we haven't made progress in terms of the processing and payment of this year's book and research, or last year's book and research allowance. That is why we are where we are now.
All right. Will you suspend the strike if government should reply to you with regards to a message or something?
Please go again.
Will you suspend your strike if government should reply with a letter of assurance?
And absolutely, we are not really interested in sitting at home. We love our jobs and we want to be at work. And so, again, it is not unfortunate that governments in and out only act when people are embarked on industrial action. Okay. As university lecturers, we really don't take delight, in undertaking these strike actions. So for as long as government releases the rate and kickstart the process for payment, we are totally fine. So,
all right. So you need a reassurance.
We definitely need a process to kickstart it. Then we know that, well, the process will complete on time. Because last year, for example, some of the people got paid in November, something that's supposed to be paid by July, August. And we don't like those delays because if the process doesn't start early, then the payment delays unduly, which is these are reimbursement expenditure for the previous academic year. And so these are money that we have already spent and are therefore, being short-changed if these are not done the time that they are supposed to be done. And that is why we are asking that government does the needful. If our letters had been heeded to, we would never have been here.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Jerry Johansson. Or Harrison, right? Harrison, forgive me.
Yes.
Thank you so much
My
for
pleasure.
joining us this morning. We are grateful. So these are his words. They need a reassurance from government that, they are going to pay. Kickstart the process. Even if the money hasn't been given to them, once the process has been started, they will decide to call off their strike.
Exactly. Friday the 13th is looming, and the government has to act fast. This reminds me of a statement made by our Bono Regional Chairman, Mr. Ali Deinde, who's also an academic, in 2022, where he advised the government then, which was facing a similar situation, to engage professional mediators and not politicians when it came to such decisions. Around the same time, too, a member of the current leadership, Hajia Amdatu Ibrahim Hussein, was also happy that the Labour Commission and UTAG were considering an out-of-court settlement. Over here, we are looking at two issues. First of all, is a setting of the exchange rate. Secondly, is a payment of the teaching allowance. Our academics need these facilities. They love their jobs. I was a victim of a strike during my University of Ghana days. It is not a pleasant thing. I think the government should engage professional mediators. We, the politicians, we are not always the best mediators when it comes to these issues. Engage academics, get them to speak to them before this Friday the 13th. Otherwise, it could lead to something of destabilization of the academic calendar and all that. So we in the CPP, we call on the government to kindly give the necessary attention, let them know the exchange rates, and then make the book allowances available.
Thank you so much. Michael?
Well, I think the government should be responsive towards the needs of these lecturers because, we shouldn't wait for a strike to happen because strike disrupts the whole academic process. And one interesting thing is now we have a lot of international students coming in, and it's not good for the reputation of this country that students will be coming into Ghana and quite often there's strikes going on and so on. So government should be responsive as they do to other sectors. They should show that same responsiveness towards the education sector. I have a university in my constituency, and I side with the lecturers. These research allowances and book allowances and etc. support them in their work because over here in our part of the world, it's difficult to get research grants. Sometimes they struggle to get research grants from external sources. This is the only source that comes to support, and it's their research that comes to help in our development. So I believe that it's about time that government shows some commitment. Looking at the support that the government had from the education sector, especially in our universities during the elections. This government had massive support from all the campuses. It's reflective in even the votes that they had. So I will be surprised that they will even delay such an allowance, which will, in its effect, have an effect on the morale of these lecturers. So I think, as my colleague, my brother said, they should quicken they should speed up with the processes so that the lecturers can have the rate that the research allowance will be pegged and subsequently the payments.
Fantastic. Honorable Awontirim?
Yeah, I think I largely agree with them because it is their right to receive it, and they've been receiving it. And I think the most important thing here they are talking about is the research allowance, not their emoluments and so on.
No, it's the book and the research allowance.
So it is something that can be done. Once it was done in the past, it must be done. And I think government is listening. It will take a multi sectorial ministries to be able to come to the conclusion of this. Education ministry, maybe the labor and employment, and then the finance ministry that has the purse to see how best they can be able to avert this threatening strike they want to go. UTAG, TUTAG, and so on. It's a very big, institution, and we don't take their services for granted. We all went through them. So for me, if it is something that is due, the government might be looking at the availability of funds as at now. If you look at the president when we came in, he sat in the negotiations with the minimum wage or so for workers. He himself came there to assure the people that things as they are now might not allow them to go beyond certain level. But as the year inches to an end, and when we get more revenue, we'll amend the current minimum wage to a better living standard. And I think the same way should go with these people. So that at the end of the day, all what we want is peace, and then our academic institutions have the best, so that we can be able to bring in the best human resources.
Great. All right. So a few messages. I'll read just a few of them. Amokwejo Obrin-Ponsim says, good morning, Roslyn. You're a great panelist. Roslyn, the NPP has no moral right to talk about the crisis in the energy sector. The NPP met ESLA, and instead of them to use it to fund the energy sector, they rather use it as collateral to secure loans. These are the people who bypassed the shipping department of ECG and paid $150 million to a private entity to do same work the internal shipping department of the ECG is capable of doing. They sat down 8 solid years without any proper investment in the energy sector. It's from Amokwejo Sims. Fake Up says that, good morning, the 1 cedi levy is not only insensitive but also a reckless attempt for government to reap where they did not sow. Ghanaians are already overwhelmed with taxes, and any additional tax, I think I already read this on WhatsApp. Master Planner Junior Kinsempo, the dead bodies are also paying D-levy because their bodies will be transported by vehicles with fuel. Unborn babies are also pay because their mothers are also using vehicles to the hospitals to check UPS. The NDC communicator should stop making us angry. And nurses are on strike, doing so is everywhere. 14.75% electricity tariff increment, and now Dumto levy on our necks. President Mahama and his NDC will collapse the country pair. Their goodwill is getting over. Ghanaians will soon see their super incompetence. Dada Noah, Kelantia, D-Levy, greetings. All right. Nana Ajua Dankwa says, good morning, Roslyn. Tell the NDC MP that he should go and tell the president to pay our school fees for us because Ekufuado's administration did well in free SHS. They should stop playing with our mind. Kudos to NPP government. And all right, last one. The NDC government, while in opposition, I think I did teach at Tepa. Okay, so I think that'll be it. Oh, you've done well. You've sent a lot of messages. You've done well, but unfortunately, this all time will permit me. I don't have that much time to continue, so I want to say a very big thank you to all my guests that joined us this morning for the conversation. Kwame Nkrumah was here. Thank you so much. Very grateful, and he's always representing the CPP. Yes, General Secretary, right?
Yes.
Yes, he's a General Secretary for the CPP, and also Honorable Michael Edu. Thank you so much. He represented the NPP. He's very big on energy. Hey, today, and Honorable Timothy Awontirim, who represented the NDC. Thank you too. And a big thank you to Franco Trade and Enterprise for always having our back. Don't forget that if you're looking for authentic gadgets, the best place to go to is Franco Trade and Enterprise. Just grab your gadgets from them. To make things simple, download the app, which is the Franco Trading app, and make sure that you purchase any item of your choice and they'll deliver it to you at your doorstep. For further inquiries, www.francotradingenterprise.com. Franco Trading Enterprise, still and still, phone Papa Perfie.